From all indications that I am seeing online and through the media, it seems as if the allegations we made in yesterday's video are 100% correct. The idea that it was night vision goggles being a direct contributing factor to the tragic events over the Potomac near Reagan National Airport. Even Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has now come out and confirmed that the pilots were in fact wearing night vision goggles during this training evolution. I still have another question about this that nobody has answered yet, and we're going to cover that in today's video, but would like to always, as we do in every video, start with gratitude. Thank you, everyone who's continued to join us over the Florida Monkey Patreon channel. Only $1 single US dollar per month over there, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked. Our newest topic over there is going to be regarding something that goes on in America every single day that people have just gotten used to, that if it went on in America 200 years ago, there would have been a revolt. Now, I'm sure that's probably piqued a few people's interest. That's going to be our first video. 200 years ago, if this went on in America, there would have been a revolt. Today, everybody not only accepts it, they see it as a point of patriotism. You interested? Love to have you over there. Fully refundable, first 90 days. No questions asked. Let's get to the fact. Helicopter pilots were, in fact, wearing night vision goggles at time of crash. Experts say they could make it harder to see. Department of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that pilots aboard the U.S. Army helicopter that collided with an American Airlines plane were wearing night vision goggles, but an expert says that could have hurt their ability to see the other aircraft. 30 January, Wall Street Journal, Army officials say helicopter pilots were wearing them. And now people are looking into this from News Nation. Did NVGs play a role? So it's not just me. It's not just me. This guy was an expert, and he echoed what I said yesterday. While they do help you see things that are static in the environment, when you're in a moving aircraft and you are trying to assess distance and speed and rate of closure and depth perception, it's almost impossible. Your field of view is very, very reduced. And when you're looking down at this bright screen right here, and then you try to look out into the dark sky, they need time to adjust. And they didn't have time to adjust. I can't play this video for you, but I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. It's from Fox, and it actually shows 30 seconds of both craft prior to their collision. You see way over here, this little dot over here, way to the left, and this bright dot here. It shows that the helicopter was flying straight, flat, and level for 30 seconds. Not changing speed, not changing altitude, not changing course. Straight line for that 30 seconds. And there's another one, once again, can't show it because it's a CNN proprietary video, that has a much better view of this, that shows the helicopter pilot just sailed right into the path of this descending aircraft. And that's the key here. A lot of people say, well, how high was the aircraft on approach, and how high was the helicopter? The aircraft, the jet, was moving through 3 dimensions, meaning that it was going from point A to point B, but it was also on a glide path, continually losing altitude, whereas the helicopter was not. It was just flying a straight path, and I think that contributed a great deal when you add in the NVGs, that the pilot did not see how fast this thing was descending. And that was the biggest problem. We'll go over this. We went over it yesterday real quick. Night vision can limit depth perception. The ability to see in 3 dimensions, I think that's really key. Really super key. And judge how far away an object is. It would literally have been the exact thing the pilot would have needed to be able to do that was hampered. You say, why do they use them? Well, like I said, they have their applications. But Florida Monkey, earlier you said there's something else out there that they're not talking about. Yes, there is. This is another News Nation article. Night vision goggles in urban areas wash out vision because of all of the random and varying levels of light. They have their application, but not in urban environments. We're going to get to that other point here real quick. It shows here, and this was before they came out with the black box stuff. I don't even know if they have the black box stuff, but it shows here that the aircraft was on approach for landing, and it wasn't even going to be there 5 minutes earlier, by the way. How many of you knew that? That it had got diverted to this flight path. It was going to land at a completely different runway, and it got diverted to here. So I think that's another big problem. It says altitude 400 feet, speed 106 knots, 122 miles an hour. Army Black Hawk helicopter. It shows all these jerky lines and changes in course. Not from the video we saw. Not from the video we saw. I mean, and I can't show it here, but go look at it. I don't see it going forward and back and up and down all this. Altitude, it says 200 feet. Speed 71 knots. The altitude could be an approximation here, and it could be that it was at 200, 250 feet, and this was at 400 feet, but descending. That's, because it's on approach to land. Now, here's my question. 6 minutes and 18... Florida Mach-E, that is a scene from a movie. It's Predator. I know. But remember something. We train how we fight. We fight how we train. Military guys. We train how we fight. We fight how we train, right? Okay. Now, these are Hueys. These aren't Blackhawks, just to be clear. These are Hueys. These aren't Blackhawks. But they have the capacity to carry up to 8 fully armed combat troops on top of the aircrew. Okay, Florida Mach-E, what does this have to do with anything? Why were there 2 of them? When they were remember in Predator? When they were inserting into the jungle to go look for that hidden Russian base and they ran into the Predator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they picked up 1 prisoner, and that would have made 8. They could have easily gone in with their full loadout with 1 helicopter. Why did they go in with 2? Because if you're in the military, you always bring more than what you need. 2 is 1, 1 is none. And you train how you fight how you train. You always have overwatch. You always have backup. You even practice having backup. Remember the raid on bin Laden's compound? Remember the raid on bin Laden's compound when they went in with these new stealth Blackhawks. Now, these are a very different aircraft than that, but the idea is you always go in with 2. During the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound, 2011, a U.S. Navy SEAL Black Hawk helicopter crashed and was destroyed. But they still got out, didn't they? They still got out, didn't they? Why? Because they had twice as many helicopters as they needed. This is standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedure in the military for training. I don't care what kind of training you're doing, whether it's aircraft, whether it's any other type of, you go in with overwatch. You go in with way more people, so there's all sorts of eyeballs. And all sorts of redundancy, and redundancy on top of redundancy. Especially in, what did Pete Hegseth call it? He called it a continuity of government annual training mission. Where was the other helicopter? That's my question. Where was the second chopper? I have no idea why there could have possibly only been 1 aircraft on a training mission by itself. It just doesn't add up. That part to me does not add up. You always take in redundancy, especially in something. And Pete Hegseth said it very well. He said that we do dangerous things. We go out and we train in dangerous environments to do dangerous things. And sometimes when you do that, bad things happen. So I'm not debating at all that this was an accident. I know it was an accident. I've seen the videos, and I know exactly what happened. The guy had tunnel vision. And it's also sometimes when people get confronted with information that is so unbelievable, like, oh my gosh, it looks like I'm going to crash into that plane. Sometimes they freeze. Sometimes they freeze. And it looks like this is exactly one of those moments where one of these helicopters pilots just was the exact wrong place at the wrong time. And given how many of these flights occur, how many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of them that occur, that this doesn't happen more often is a testament to how good a job these people do and how professional they are. It's a very, very, very difficult thing to do when you're out there in an environment like this. If we were in an emergency, and I don't mean to ramble here, but and something bad happened in the world, let's just say any kind of disaster, you would have in the airspace above any disaster, you might have news choppers, you might have police helicopters, you then also might have rescue med flight helicopters, and then if it's really bad, you also might have on top of that military helicopters. So you would have 4 different separate commands where people were trying to operate all in the same environment, all at the same time during an emergency. So, I mean, that, like I said, and how many of you can think of an event out there? Show me down in the comments. How many of you could think of an event out there that could happen in this country where you would have police helicopters, news reporting helicopters, you would have life flight medical helicopters, and you might also have military helicopters coming in to provide support? Imagine trying to keep all of them separate and safe and, operating in a way that was not dangerous. It'd be nearly impossible. I mean, it'd be possible because it happens all the time. But I think people have taken, a little bit of license with going after the flight controllers on this, where, when you have the military operating and doing its missions, and then you have, a last minute change. And I think that is so key. I really, really do. It was a last minute change to move this aircraft to this landing site. I think that was a big deal. So I will leave it there. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth confirms night vision goggles. And I think they're probably going to, in the future, come to some conclusion that had they not been being used, this would be more than likely not something we would be talking about. So I'll leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Join us on Patreon. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.